Hi, Jason Knott with CE Pro, and today we're talking about Multiroom Audio with Brian Ozano, Vice President at Stealth Acoustics. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Jason, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for joining me today. Let's jump right into it. Stealth Acoustics has got a unique niche that it's found with its LRG invisible speaker technology. Tell us a little bit about that product line.
So the LRG represented our 6th generation of invisible speaker, and it was a pretty significant step forward for us in the sound quality and the technology in the product. It really centered around an upgrade to the diaphragm of the speaker, which, as you know, an invisible speaker utilizes a flat radiating diaphragm that finishes like wallboard. So it is literally the entire front of the speaker. And over the years, we've tested and developed many different types of products to construct that diaphragm from. But what was unique about the LRG was a breakthrough in a fiberglass-based material that we dubbed Fidelity Glass. And the Fidelity Glass is a very rigid fiberglass-based material, but the inherent resonant properties of that material were very, very pleasing when we put energy into it. So not only did it improve the durability of the product and also allow us to begin to develop waterproof outdoor speakers, it just sounded really, really nice. And so that was really the basis for the step into that 6th generation of product. Now, since then, we've also released last year the LRX series of invisible speakers, and that takes that diaphragm development one step further in that we are now beginning to mechanically tune that diaphragm of the speaker. So if throughout the testing procedures, we see maybe a peak in a certain frequency range that we want to try to tame a little bit, we do so through crossover network development, but also furthermore, we mechanically tune that diaphragm, and we can actually identify regions on the diaphragm where through excavation of material or lamination of other materials, advanced materials like carbon fiber, we can stiffen or dampen that diaphragm. And in doing so, we can control the response curve of the speaker.
Wow, that's a lot of engineering prowess there. And it's funny, you mentioned sound quality multiple times. We just completed this Multiroom Audio deep dive study, and by far, the number 1 factor that integrators look for when they're selecting a Multiroom Audio speaker is quality. So tell us a little bit about the fidelity of invisible speakers. We always hear about those versus conventional speakers. Sounds like you've got a lot of engineering into these where we're not talking about a compromise on the fidelity side anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's been pretty much our number 1 goal from the inception of this company almost 20 years ago, was sound quality. You know, the founder of this company and the developer of our products, he saw one of the first invisible speakers at CEDIA, I think it was in 2000 or 2001, and he just loved the concept. He thought that the future was bright for a product that could mesh well with modern decor and be interior designer and architect friendly. But he just thought the sound quality was lacking back at that time. So, you know, over the past 15 years, we've really, not a day goes by that we aren't thinking about how we can further the sound quality and the performance of this category as a whole. You know, when I first started this company about 13 years ago, it was the category was a tough sell. You know, it was always came down to sound quality. I always got the objection that, look, they just don't sound as good. And I can honestly say now, at this point in time, through technological developments and engineering, we have this product on par with any comparably priced in-ceiling or in-wall speaker, in my opinion.
Referring back to this Multiroom Audio deep dive study that we did, one of the other results that came out of it was that 16% of projects have invisible speakers. Do you think that trend is going to continue to grow, and why?
I do think it will continue to grow. I think that, you know, as we continue to refine our living spaces, and people have a desire, I think, inherently for a clutter-free environment. And, you know, when you add an interior designer or an architect into the mix with a builder, I think that desire elevates even more so. And so I do think that this category will continue to grow. We can also look to some of the inherent factors to this type of speaker design that might even make it be more well suited to multi-room audio than our traditional speakers that we're used to using. You know, the flat radiating diaphragm design is extremely wide dispersion. So we're talking 170 degrees, and not just some frequency range at 170 degrees, but all frequencies at 170 degrees. So that means you can stand off axis with these products and still have the exact same listening experience as when you're on axis. So when you spread those throughout a home or a room in the ceiling, let's say, for instance, on a ceiling installation, you can literally create spaces that you pass through and you find no bright spots, no dead spots. Now, when you combine that even coverage with the fact that you don't see anything, well, then you have the ultimate freedom in installation, because your ears and your brain will never exactly pinpoint where that audio is coming from when your eyes don't see a grill to identify. So you can create really nice seamless zones of audio throughout a home with virtually no bright spots or dead spots.
You know, and obviously to get that aesthetic that you just talked about, you have to take more time and labor to do the installation. Give us a sense of how much more time does it take for an integrator? And from an integrator standpoint, obviously, there's a positive because they can charge more on the installation and labor side, but how much more time does it take?
Well, you know, from my own experience installing this product, I think that one thing that integrators need to be most aware of is that when compared to a traditional speaker, to actually physically mount the speaker and test the speaker, I don't think it really involves that much more time. Typically, it boils down to one more trip to the job site if you're following the instructions to a T, because we do use a pre-installation bracket that marks the location of the speaker, and that goes in place before the sheetrock usually. And then after the sheetrock is hung, you come back and remove that bracket and replace it with the speaker. So, you know, to mount the speaker, we're not really looking at much more time. We have also set up the installation process so that we're not really asking the integrator to be the wall finisher necessarily. It certainly can be done, and I certainly know some of our top integrators do have some of their own wall finishers on staff that can manage the seam treatment once the speakers are installed. But typically, you know, our instruction process allows the integrator to simply mount the speaker, and once they have it registered correctly with the height of the sheetrock, they turn that job back over to the builder, and the builder's subcontractors, their wall finishers, come and finish those seams just like any other seam in the home. And they are level 5 finish friendly. So, you know, once an integrator gets a few installations under their belt, I think it's pretty simple for them to knock them out pretty quick. And I wouldn't really allocate a tremendous amount more time to the install from their perspective. But, you know, from the layman's perspective, this is not a simple speaker. This is not unboxing a tower speaker or a bookshelf speaker and setting it up and tuning it. You know, this to them appears to be a very intricate and delicate process. To some degree it is, but this allows our integrators to be able to charge more for installation because this is a premium installed product.
All right, one last thing. As part of that multi-room audio study that I mentioned, the deep dive study, we did ask integrators what their prospects were for this category for the rest of the year, and there was positive growth. And the economy has been so up and down. Obviously, this year, as people have been talking about when's the meteor going to hit and the locusts and all those sorts of things. What's your advice and what trends do you see out there for integrators in the multi-room audio space, as well as the outdoor space, which you guys are in? Yeah,
we've seen a big uptick in outdoor living accoutrements, let's say. You know, we work with large format LED powered TVs that we design outdoor rated enclosures and lift systems to raise and lower these enormous TVs. We've had more interest in that product in the last 3 or 4 months than in the last 3 or 4 years. So I do see a big uptick in the outdoor living space. People are revitalizing their existing outdoor living spaces, and they're adding to their spaces if they already have one. So I think that the outdoor will continue to grow through this year and into next probably. And I think that goes a little bit hand in hand with some of the, you know, some of the things that we have going on in the world today, some of the with the virus and some of the people working from home and spending more time in their homes. I think that lends quite a bit to why we're seeing some of this increase in outdoor living spaces. It's easier for installers to get in and out of those spaces without being putting a burden on their clients or their homeowners by being inside the home right now. So, I think that's probably a bit of a factor as well. And then, as we are spending more time in our homes and we're learning that working from home is entirely possible in this day and age, who doesn't want to have a nice music system in their home as well? So, business has fluctuated this year as we would probably expect given the current climate, but I think that the future is bright for both multi-room audio and for outdoor applications.
All right, Brian Ozano, Vice President at Stealth Acoustics. Thanks for joining CE Pro today.
Thanks so much, Jason. I really appreciate having me on.